Trevor Walsh here, Impeccable Defense. I have Michael here. He is going to tell a story. He bought some products from us, and he also bought some Duke Defense. And I thought it was a really good story. What he hit me up with a few days later, maybe a week or something later. And the reasons he bought the Byrnas, I think, are profound, and why I think everyone needs one. So, Michael, let's hear a little bit about your background, what you do, and then right into the story of why you bought Byrnas, how it was dealing with us as a company, and why you ended up getting Duke Defense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, Trevor. Good afternoon, everybody. So I live out in Connecticut, so I'm on the opposite coast of Trevor in Impeccable Defense. I'm an East Coast kid, and like so many places, I spend a fair amount of time. I'm a news junkie, so I'm constantly going back and forth between the news outlets on the radio and on TV. And like so many people, I'm alarmed. I'm alarmed at what I'm seeing happening in our society. I'm not an extremist, but I'm a realist. And my family, I have my wife, and I have 3 of my 5 kids are daughters. And so between my wife and my 3 daughters, and even myself, I worry about our well-being. I've had a car stolen. My sisters recently had a car stolen. And let's face it, none of the stories we're reading or watching in the news are great lately.
It's crazy, man. I mean, I look
crazy.
around nowadays and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, I know. It's actually depressing. It really is, to see where we're going. But not to turn this political. My interest in Byrna came out of just a sense of wanting to protect my family and myself. So I am a permitted licensed pistol holder. I don't own a pistol. I own a shotgun for home defense. But I wanted something that I could carry, and I wanted something that my wife and daughters could carry because they all travel for work. So I don't actually recall how I came across the Byrna product, but once I did find it, or it popped up online, who knows, I started doing extensive research on it. And while I was doing the research, I came across a lot of the YouTube videos from both Byrna and also Trevor's on his Impeccable Defense website. So or his page. So I started watching Trevor's because I'm kind of a hometown, small town guy. I like to shop local. I like to support local. So I was intrigued by, Trevor being a certified dealer for them. As I watched his YouTube videos, I just got a good feel that he really intimately knew this product. And it shows, Trevor. I mean, you're not just a guy out there peddling your wares to make money. I mean, I can tell by, first and foremost, talking with you on the phone, emailing with you, and watching you in your videos, that you have a genuine sense of concern for the product and for the people that are going to buy it. So that led me down the path to lean towards you. I did my comparative shopping, and quite frankly, there's no windfall one way or another, but your prices were always competitively a little bit better than Byrna. So me being that hometown feel kind of guy, I said, I'm going to go with the guy who basically is out there trying to earn a living for his family. You're in emergency services. I spent 43 years as a firefighter. I worked side by side with cops basically my entire adult life. So, I kind of felt I had a little bond with you in that regard before we even spoke. So I was happy to do business with Byrna, with Impeccable Defense, but I also bought a few things from Byrna. I bought some kinetic rounds and whatnot. But here's the story, and here's really why I asked to be an advocate for Trevor and buying from a dealer, particularly in my case, Impeccable Defense, because in one of your YouTube videos, you happen to mention the Duke rounds, and particularly the Duke chemical rounds. And that had profound meaning to me because I'm looking for something for my wife and my daughters to have that's not just going to hurt somebody, but I want them to incapacitate them, to buy them 30 seconds to get the hell away from their attacker or get out of their bad scenario. So for me, that was going to be a chemical round. And I chose to load their magazines with 3 chemical rounds behind 2 kinetic rounds. And I've actually since changed that to 1 kinetic round with 5 chemical rounds behind that. But you mentioned something in your YouTube video, and I think to you it was a very benign statement because you really didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, but you mentioned that why would anybody not buy Duke? It's become the platinum standard in the industry. And I noticed that Byrna only sold their proprietary chemical round. And I wanted the Duke rounds because I researched online the difference and I appreciated what Duke had to offer. I didn't know much about the Byrna round, but Duke made a good solid pitch for their product and you advocated for it. Now, I think that's hugely important for your customers to consider, because here's the rub. I bought 2 EPs for my wife and daughter, and I bought the LE. The EPs, we bought the kit where you had to get the Byrna rounds, not only the kinetics and the echo rounds, but you also had to get the Byrna chemical rounds. And here's my story, and here's where I think it's important for people to really pay attention here. I got my daughter and my wife's EPs when they came in. I loaded up their magazines. These things were brand new, brand spanking new, like the first day or 2 that I had them. And I'm in my kitchen and I'm putting them all together because I was preparing them so I could bring my wife and daughter outside. I could start doing their training firearms with them, the loading, the magazine, the whole 9 yards. And I noticed on the magazines, one of the magazines had a white powder on it. And I said, son of a gun. I said, what the hell is that? And then I might start tearing up and I start to feel it in my knees. One of the damn, listen, brand new out of the box, one of the damn Byrna rounds had fractured. So I ran outside to my garage because I don't want the thing to blow around in my house.
No, it's never fun, dude. Me and my wife shot one in our backyard.
So I run into my garage to get the darn thing out of the house. Now I'm putting on rubber gloves. I'm starting to tear up. And don't you know Murphy's Law? It's the bottom round. So what had happened, because remember, I said I wanted to load up their magazines with 2 kinetics on top, 3 in the bottom. So Murphy's Law, it's the bottom chemical round. And what had happened is, because it fractured, the slide in the magazine wasn't functioning properly. So now I had to get my hands in there to manipulate this thing. And I'm manipulating and working myself around the fractured round that is, it's basically leaking out its powder product. So this did not turn into a great scenario for me, as you can imagine. Bottom line is, it took me about 3 or 4 minutes with a screwdriver and whatnot to manipulate that broken round out of the magazine. Now I got the screwdriver, my gloves, the magazine, everything is, the powder is in the air. It's on the workbench. So I did my whole cleanup thing. I got back inside after the cleanup. I took every single Byrna chemical round that I had and I pitched them. I put them in a sealable sandwich bag and I threw them out. And I waited till I got my Duke round. I ordered immediately from I got right out the horn with Trevor. I sent them an email. I said, these things are dangerous.
Yeah,
you should notify. I did. And
I will attest to that.
You probably get the email. So you should notify Byrna. They're peddling a defective product here that is flat out dangerous for people. So I waited and I ordered specifically the Duke chemical rounds. And when those have come in, dude, we have practiced on not the range, but we practiced in the backyard. I've sent my daughter back to Boston with them with hers. Knock on wood, not a single issue with the Duke. I will only use Duke. If you get a brand new gun, you get a brand new launcher from Byrna right out of the factory, do yourself a favor, go outside with it in a safe area, take all of the chemical projectiles and carefully dispose of them right out of the gate, and wait for your Duke rounds from Impeccable Defense to show up in the mail, because it's not worth the hassle. This story, believe it or not, has a round 2. So now I own it doesn't get any better. Doesn't get any better. I own the product. Now I've had it for 2-3 weeks. A fella at work who saw me watching YouTube, he took an interest to it. He goes, hey, listen, when it comes in, let me know. So I decide one day I'm going to bring my package, get it all set up, bring it into work. And what I did was I didn't want the guy to use my good Duke rounds. So I had one sleeve and it had 2 or 3 of the old junk Byrna rounds in it, the chemical rounds. I brought that with me to work. And I said I was going to send him home that night with a bunch of kinetics and just a couple of chemical rounds, because I think it's important, and I did this with my girls. I think it's important that when they shoot a tree or a target to see how the chemical round displaces. I think it's
Correct.
important for them to see that so they can
Yep.
get a feel for when you're shooting at
Just
somebody.
make
Maybe
sure you're
with
far enough away because it's not enjoyable.
right, 100%. Well, this is all part of the training, though, Trevor. I think
Yep.
that's important. If you're going to teach somebody how to use the launcher, they need to not only get a feel for the echo and the kinetics, which really don't expel anything, but when you're shooting rounds at somebody who maybe has a thick winter jacket on or something, what I told my girls is it's important for you to know that you don't necessarily have to go for the face like I prefer you to do with the kinetics. You just have to hit center mass with those, because I wanted them to see the displacement of the powder, just so they could have an appreciation for that. So I wanted my buddy, because he was going to show it to his wife, I wanted my buddy to have that same, appreciation for that, but I didn't want him using my Duke rounds. So I said, let me bring a couple of these junk Byrna rounds with me. And don't you know, I swear to God, Trevor, you can't make this story up. I'm in the dispatch office at work. I'm putting together the magazine, getting this thing ready for him, because he's a fire marshal. So they leave in the morning, they go out during the day, do their inspections, they come back at 4 o'clock. I wanted to turn the whole kit over to him for 4 o'clock. He was going to take it home that night, use it with his wife, and bring it back to me in the morning when we got relieved. So don't you know, I'm in the damn dispatch office. One of those piece of junk Byrna rounds is cracked. So now I'm loading my magazine again. Now I have the 7-round, mind you, because I have the LE. So same thing though. I'm loading, a few kinetics on top with my chemical rounds on the bottom. Don't you know that junk Byrna round on the bottom again? Now it's nothing to do with the magazine. So people can say, well, your magazine's puncturing it. No, because the first time it was my wife's 5-round magazine. Now I'm loading my 7-round magazine in the LE. Exact same problem. Now I got to run out of the dispatch office so I don't incapacitate everybody in this emergency dispatch center. I got to run out to the front apron of the firehouse to pick this damn round out of the magazine. And again, it was the factory Byrna round that came from them. Junk. Don't waste your money. I know you have to get them when you buy the kit. Do yourself a favor, dispense with them immediately and go right for the Duke rounds. Here's my concern. I put these Byrna rounds in that magazine. I send my wife or myself out into the world. Heaven forbid I need my device or they need their device.
Yep.
That magazine is not going to advance a round. Because if that thing fractures in the magazine, it's jamming the magazine. If you know all you're going to do is go target practice with them, great. Use them in your backyard, but be super, super careful, because even when you're loading these things in your house, you run the risk of those things fracturing. And let me tell you something, I found out the hard way. And you can look at the videos online. There's no shortage of them. It doesn't take much to get you, showing some you'll become symptomatic like that. It doesn't take much at all. These things didn't crack open, mind you, and just bust open and spread powder all over the place. These were very minor fractures, but enough to release product and enough to jam the magazine. And that's the worst part of this takeaway. You can jam yourself up 10, 15 minutes, tearing up, the snots, the whole 9 yards. The biggest issue is when you need that launcher. God forbid you ever need that launcher. It wouldn't have worked. It jammed both of my magazines. So it's not worth the gamble. Don't use them. Do not use them. I'm 100% honest. Trevor, I said to Trevor, you give anybody you want my phone number or my email. I've got nothing to gain from this. I don't pitch for Duke. I don't make any money off of any of this. I'm a guy who's 59 years old, has a beautiful wife and daughters, and I want everybody to be safe. We could have been put into a bad position because of those Byrna rounds. Thank God. Thank God I watched your video. And it was just very serendipitous that I happened to see it. And for you, again, it was a very benign comment, but I think you should really make more of that, to be honest with you. Because if somebody doesn't see that, they may have the same fate that I did. I just got lucky and I happened to watch the video where I have a 5 or 10 seconds, you just happened to mention it, the Duke rounds. If I didn't see that, brother, I never would have bought the Duke. I wouldn't have known. I'd still be packing these things for those junk Byrna rounds. Don't do it. Take it from me. You tell your customers, call me, email me. I will 100% vouch for Duke. And again, I got no skin in this game other than I want to keep people safe. I want to keep my daughter, my wife, myself safe. It is just not worth the gamble. Absolutely not worth the gamble. Look at the options online for the Duke rounds. There's a couple different options for the chemical rounds. Do not gamble with anything but the Duke round. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean that was, I mean, you reiterated really my reason why I'm a Duke dealer and everything. Just that was it. That was literally it. It wasn't about profit margin or anything like that. Because profit margin at the end of the day doesn't matter whether you sell Byrna or Duke or Velkin. It doesn't matter. Profit is profit. What I cared about is that my wife and my kids or anyone else I care about or any customer of mine, I don't ever, ever, ever want to hear about a story where they went to use their Byrna and deploy it and it didn't work because one of the chemical rounds was damaged, or end up visiting my wife in a hospital because one of the rounds wasn't working. That was what I saw when I first entered this space of less lethal, and I thought I got to do more research, and I did a lot of research into the different companies. And once again, you know, Byrna recommends only using their rounds. Of course they're going to, because they're the company. And I respect that, and that's their disclaimer. But I, as a company that carries multiple companies, you know, all the non-lethal companies we represent at Impeccable Defense, I just tell people, why not just get the one that never has an issue and is the standard that all others are measured by.
Yeah. And listen, I kind of, you know, I understand they want their proprietary round. It makes sense to me, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, I don't even know. I registered all 3 of my launchers. You know, if it's a warranty thing, I don't care. It means nothing to me. I want one thing at the end of the day.
It'll work.
They need it. I need it to work. Period. That's it. Period. After that, all of the discussions are for naught. It needs to work. Heaven forbid.
Just like a firearm. I mean, look at firearms. Can you imagine? You imagine if Colt or any other company came out with a firearm that was 80% successful. You know what I mean? Like, it might work 80% of the time.
That's why the old school cops. Remember the old school cops? They all had the wheel gun. They all wanted the 6-shot 38. Everybody wanted a wheel gun. They said it's 100% reliable.
Yep.
You know,
it has to be. It has to be. If it fails one time, someone's probably going to be dead.
Right. So I couldn't take that chance. And thank God I happened to watch enough of your videos that I came across that one. And again, you know, and I've said this 2 or 3 times already. I can't say it enough. You know, it was only a 5 or 10 second blurb in one of your videos. And to you, it just seemed like a very run-of-the-mill issue. For me, it was, you know, 100% game changer, because I never would have thought about it. I never even would have given it a second thought, because who would think that when you're buying a brand new product, that a part of that, you know, a part of that product may not be 100%. And I wouldn't have given that a second thought had I not seen that particular video where you mentioned and pitched for the Duke round. And listen, I don't know Duke from, I imagine there's other manufacturers too. In truth, I haven't researched it. I don't know, only because I had enough faith in you and your company and your experience to just go with the Duke. So then I looked into, you know, I Googled Duke. I'm like, okay, good. Duke, made in America, good quality product, sold. And I'm telling you right now, we've probably put, I don't know, 30 or so of the Duke chemical rounds through these things, a ton of echoes, you know, a ton of kinetics. But I'm kind of sparing with the chemical rounds because they're more expensive, but no issues.
Yeah, me and my wife and kids never really shoot the chemical rounds. We I mean, a couple, but just to make sure everything's working good. But we just carry them.
I wanted them to see. I want them to appreciate the field. You know, the basically the field once those things hit. But point being, you can load your magazines with 100% confidence. You don't have to go outside in the garage or whatever. And I also bought second magazines for all of ours, so we can have a training magazine. So basically, I load my carry magazine for my wife, daughter, and myself. And when we're going to train, we take the carry magazine out, we put it in the sleeve, tuck it aside, because I think, you know, the less your hands with the oils and whatnot.
That's what we do. That's what I tell everyone to do.
Yeah, but
just keep it simple.
I'm 100% confident. 100% confident.
Absolutely. Yeah, just have an extra mag for practice and
Yeah,
keep
makes
one
all the
for
sense in the world.
carrying and one for practice.
100%. Makes all the sense in the world. We don't need them loading them, unloading them, messing around.
No.
Yeah. So, and again, because I load mine a particular way, I throw a kinetic or two on top and the rest chemical underneath that. I like to just keep those off to the side. So I'm happy to make this video. I'm actually, I'm glad that I got this opportunity because I think this is important.
Yeah, you actually reached out to me to do a video and be interviewed. I was like, great, let's do it.
Listen, I was pissed. I'll be perfectly honest with you. If you could reread the email, you get the tone of the email. I was pissed. I felt a little bit betrayed because I thought Byrna has to know about this. I can't be the only guy that ironically had 2 separate attempts at loading his magazines with these things go Dixie. So either I just happened to get in the wrong lot or this is a recurring problem. Bottom line is crickets. Crickets on the Byrna site. There's no recall. There's no warning. There's no, hey, heads up. You're led to believe that, these are the platinum standard. And in fact, they are not the platinum standard. And I just felt
it's actually funny.
Betrayed by that. I did.
It's funny, Michael, because I really believe I sell everything. So I can sell, Byrna, Velkin, Duke, Grimberg, Humorex, all the big companies in the non-lethal space. We represent and carry all their products. But I believe, as far as everything that's sold out there, I believe if you couple the Byrna launcher handheld with the Duke round, that marriage is the best turnkey, less lethal product in the world today, given right now. There's better things coming in the future, but as of right now, if you were to sell a 75-year-old lady or an 18-year-old kid a turnkey product that would save their lives and give them time to get to safety or call the cops, I believe that's the best marriage out there. A Byrna launcher with Duke Defense rounds. Now, Byrna is going to say always use their own rounds. I respect that. That's their company. Of course I respect that. And I'm a Byrna dealer. That's okay. They say you got to use their rounds with their stuff. But the point is, if you were to ask me my best definition of a perfect product, it'd be the Byrna launcher and Duke Defense rounds, because then you're safe. And 97% of the time.
I would absolutely 100% agree with that. And I want this also, I want people to understand, I love my Byrnas. I 100%. And you mentioned some other names in there. I know nothing about those because they're
just other companies.
Yeah. I don't even know if those are just loads or the actual weapon themselves, but I will tell you this. I am 100% totally in love with all 3 of these launchers. They're fantastic. And
I love them too, man.
Everybody I show this thing to, everybody wants to turn right around and get one. I've heard a few people too. I don't even know if they've done anything yet, but everybody I show this thing to, awesome, perfect for the wife. Because let's face it, not a lot of people want to shoot a firearm where you could kill somebody. So this is the next safest thing. And I haven't researched any other launcher products. So I don't mean to rail against Byrna, because I love their product and I love mine. I love the 2 for my wife and daughter. I just don't particularly like that chemical load. And it's only the chemical
Michael,
load.
I'll finish the interview with a perfect analogy, in my opinion. 2006 Silverado 3500 dually, and it has the Duramax diesel, which is a crazy good engine. Then it's got the Ellison transmission, which most people say is the best transmission ever created since the Jurassic era. And most guys in the diesel world would say if you could marry the ultimate vehicle in trucks, you would have a Dodge Ram, engine diesel, the Ram diesel with the Ellison transmission. And that would be the perfect marriage. In other words, 2 different companies with the best transmission and the best motor put together. And a lot of guys do that. And so my point is, it doesn't mean Byrna doesn't make a great launcher. I believe turnkey, they make the best. But I don't believe their chemical rounds are the best, and they're not reliable, in my opinion. So if you marry them with Duke, just like marrying a Ellison transmission with a Cummins diesel, you've got the best of both worlds. And people do it in all industries. It's not just non-lethal. It's used in, everyone does it.
100%. 100%. Listen, we're both firefighters. You buy, I don't care who makes your Pierce, it doesn't matter who makes your chassis. You can get a hail pump, you can get a watch pump. Every like you said, whether you're building a car, a widget, house, what kind of windows you like, the perfect confluence of perfection here is the Byrna launcher with the Duke chemical round.
I agree.
Case closed. Case closed. I am with you 100% on that one. And truthfully, buy your products from Trevor, buy your products from a local person, because they have not only intimate awareness of the various products that are out there, but they have an intimate investment in you and your well-being. And I got that from you, even though you and me, brother, we're on the opposite coasts. Doesn't matter.
I love people, man. I love dealing with people.
We're here chatting. We're here chatting to hopefully make this experience better for the next people coming along.
Absolutely. Down the and I always tell people, call me if you have a question or want to put an order together over the phone. And I cannot tell you how many people on a daily or weekly basis call me and go, wow, a human being answered. Like, we haven't talked to a human in months. Like, I'm like, well, it's the way it's supposed to be. You're like, if you have questions.
Before I even got the products from you, before I placed the official order, Christ, I must have gone through 3 or 4 different renditions in my brain, because I wanted the LE and I wanted them to have the EPs. You know, I want this, I want Magda, but this and that. And yeah, it was funny because I sent you this long email. I want 2 of these, 5 of these, boom, bing, bang, boom, purple, white, pink. And your response was so profoundly simple. Call me. And then your phone number. I was like, no shit, for real? And I called you and we chatted. You walked me through the whole process.
It's just easier, you know. I mean, I could have put it all on paper, but you know, I mean, it's easier.
Where do you buy today? Anywhere. Where do you buy anywhere in your daily life where the owner of the company says, call me? With your email or with your phone.
But it should be like that. That's the way it used to be 20, 30 years ago when we were growing up.
Whatever. It ain't what it used to be, and that's why we're buying Byrnas, unfortunately.
That's right.